Today's video talks about angles in circles. So we have many angles that you can form from various radii and chords in a circle. We started by talking about central angles, which are angles with the vertex located at the center. For these angles, the measure of the angle equals the measure of the intercepted arc. The arc is the outer arc, the circumference is divided into 360 degrees, and so if this is 40 degrees, this will be 40 degrees. Inscribed angles are angles that have a vertex located on the edge of the circle. So this would be an inscribed angle formed from two chords. This would be an inscribed angle formed from a chord and a tangent line. In both cases, the measure of the angle is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So if this arc were 50 degrees, this angle would be 25 degrees. More recently, you covered a few more angles, or two specific. They don't have specific names, so I recommend that you make up names that are memorable to keep the formula straight. I'm going to call these inside cross angles. These are angles formed by the crossing or intersection of two chords. Notice that it does not intersect the center, so we cannot assume it's a central angle. Instead, we have that the measure of this angle is equal to the average of these two arcs. Note that these are vertical angles, so these are always the same, so we're going to be calculating the measure of one of them. And it is the sum of A and B, all divided by 2. Finally, we have angles formed by two secants. A secant is a line that intersects a circle twice. A secant and a tangent. Tangent's a line that intersects a circle once. Or two tangents. In all of these cases, the angle vertex is located outside the circle. So you can call these outside angles. And in all these cases, the measure of the angle is equal to the difference in the measures of the arcs divided by 2. So A minus B divided by 2. A minus B divided by 2. Note in this case with two tangents, you may be given only the measure of one of the arcs. You can still calculate the measure of the angle. In the case of the two tangents, let's say I was told that the measure of this arc is 240 degrees. Because the full circle is 360, I know that this arc is 360 minus 240, or 120. Then I use my formula for these outside angles to calculate the measure of this angle. This angle would be 240 minus 120 divided by 2, or 60 degrees. Let's look at how we can apply some of these formulas. Let's say I have a problem that looks like this, where this arc is 145 degrees, this angle is 35 degrees, and I want us to calculate what this arc is. Again, this is an external angle, so I can set up my formula, which says the outside arc minus the inside arc, which is unknown, divided by 2 equals the measure of this outside angle. Multiply both sides by 2. Add the x, subtract the 70. And that's going to be 75 degrees. Here's another example. Let's say I have this. I have x plus 88 here. I have x plus 100 here. And this angle is 94 degrees. This is an inside cross angle. And so the formula for an inside cross angle is that it's the sum of the two arcs divided by 2. So if I set this up here, my inside cross angle equals this arc plus this arc divided by 2. Notice that these are both divisible by 2, so instead of multiplying over the 2, I'm just going to divide each of them to keep the numbers a little bit smaller. And it looks like x is 0. Let's look at another example. So you will have to be careful and make sure that you read the problems carefully. You could be given a problem that looks like this. And they're asking you to calculate measure of angle QRS. Unlike previous problems where you were asked to solve for x, you have to solve first for x and then go back and plug in to actually finish the problem. So definitely pay attention to your instructions. This is an inscribed angle, so we're going to basically say the measure of this angle is half of this, or 2 times the measure of this angle equals this. We'll do the latter. Add 14 to both sides, subtract 27x from both sides. You get that x is equal to 8, and we have to go back and solve for a measure of angle QRS. And so we get that the measure of angle QRS is 105 degrees. That was angles in a circle. Please let me know if you have any questions.